Okay, so we are on the air. I'm listening to you guys trip.
What up, y'all?
Okay, so this is another version of Real Talk.
It is Real Talk Forum.
The forum. We over here in Nagoya this time. Usually we're in Osaka.
Right.
And we gonna talk about. Well, actually, the next topic I'm writing about in the book Modern Japan Decoded is the idea of black people being on code. Okay, so we want to talk about really what being on code, first of all, what it is, before we even delve into the lofty idea of black people being on code, and I guess the problems and the challenges that come with that, or even if it's something that's realistic. All right?
All right.
So, on code, I mean, we have so many examples of being on code in all around us. Like even the recent election in the United States. The whole thing was about being on code. Joe Biden was depending on black people. He's trying to act like he made that statement. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
If you don't vote for me, you're not black.
Right, no, he said ain't.
You ain't black.
He even said ain't. He even said ain't.
Yeah, it came out.
Right, and so what he's trying to say is that is the established code. This is by him. This ain't by me, or this is what he says. But he was trying to use that, like, this is the code. How are you going to try to go off code?
Right.
And we know there are a lot of black people who really do believe, no matter what, at the end of the day, you have to vote Democrat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
What
Because
kind of black person votes Republican?
Right. The only alternative is Republican. Now, we're not here to debate that, but I'm just trying to give an example of how being on code is all around us, and whether you know it or not, you are on code with something. And I write this in the book. The only question there is, if the code you're following, is it an established protocol that benefits you, that is designed for your greatness, or is it designed to exploit you for someone else's greatness? You know what I'm saying? Can you come up with another example just to talk about what being on code is?
Being on code? Yeah, I mean, women are always on code. When they meet each other, when they see each other, they stay on code. There's a code of conduct that you act like when a woman's in the presence of another woman. Men, not so much in terms of in terms of how women do it, but you know, when it comes to how to be a man, that there is a code that they should operate on. I mean, the only time you're not really understanding the code is when you're naive or you're childlike and you're not really in it. So like children, they're never on code. You know what I'm saying? They're just based off of nature.
They're doing what they're doing.
They're doing what they're doing. Yeah.
But give us an example of you gave two. You said women being on code or men being on code. Like, what's an example of women being on code that everybody can relate to?
Okay, let's say this one time. I probably shouldn't even say this, but this girl who I did not do it to, kind of said like, I raped her. She was like, she I don't know when this happened, but I went to this party and there was this girl. I went to the station with her, took her up to the top of the station. It was a nice night. I tried to press up on her, you know, I kissed her, whatever, and then she kind of,
I never heard this story before.
Yeah, she kind of liked it or whatever, but it was like she was kind of nervous, you know. Women over here are prude. But anyway, we go to a party later, and I get there, and everybody's kind of looking like kind of somber, and this guy is like mad at me. I'm like, what's this dude mad at me for? And then it comes out like this bitch said I raped her or tried to rape her or something like that.
And this is a Japanese woman, of course.
Yeah.
Because you said prude.
And she's there.
Right.
So I'm looking at her like, what is this, like a joke, or like, what are you talking about? You know, like just you get mad immediately because your character is in judgment right now.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm looking at all the other women there who know me, and even though I know they don't believe her, she looks too much like the victim right now, and they all gotta be like, "Are you okay?" 'Cause she's looking sad. She's like, "I don't know, why is he here?" You know, and they're like, "Are you okay?" Like, Sterling, maybe we should talk. And I'm like, "Yo, but," and they're like, "I know you didn't." Like, you can see it in their face. They're like, "I know you didn't do it, but like right now it's not the time." And I'm like, "What the fuck? Like, you gonna choose her over me? I would never do something like that." And I'm like, "Yo, but it locked." You know what I'm saying? I was like, "That's coded up."
Wow, yeah, that's definitely cold. I never heard this story. So how did this end? You can't just leave us hanging.
You know, the one dude wanted to fight, and he was real corny, and I was just so confused. I just left. You know what I'm saying? I just left. You know, and the main dude who was there, one of the guys who used to bring me around them, he's still my friend, but the rest of them, I never saw them again.
All right, wow. This is like some college day shit.
Yeah, it's some college day shit.
Okay, well, he really took it. But that's a great example, because you think about women, just like even sexual harassment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if a woman says, I've been sexually harassed, and you see it in the news a lot of times, women feel a certain obligation, even if they don't believe the woman.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can't stand up and say, well, I think that's bullshit. You know, it's not gonna fly a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? We're not trying to take, you know, people who sexually harass women or date rape women off the hook. That's not what we're doing. We're just trying to define the concept of being on code. Okay? Another one I would say, and this is the one that really gets me, is that how let's just take it to race. Every race is on code except really black people. And black people are on code too, but it's so wishy-washy nowadays. You know what I'm saying? But the one thing that seems to really, I can see very clearly, especially when it comes to any of the European races, because if you look through history, you know that the Saxons and the what do you call it, like the Vandals? There was a lot of different sections. I can't even rename them, but if you read those old books, and they used to war against each other all the time.
Yeah.
But now, when a lot of them, we look at white people, even like when they say that's a Jewish person, a lot of black people, we just see them as white people. You know what I'm saying? And the reason, I know a lot of people don't, okay? I know a lot of people don't, but a lot of black people do. What was that?
Ooh, something heavy. My phone is ringing and it fell off the...
Okay, I'm like... Oh.
It vibrated off the table.
I was like, ooh, okay, we got the spirits moving in here. I'm like, 'cause we didn't move for anything to fall like that. It was vibrating, okay. So, what was I saying? Oh, the Vandals, the Brits and all.
Yeah.
And so they used to war. They've all through history they've been warring. You know what I'm saying? And they still are really at odds. But for black people, we don't see it. Why? Because when it comes to us, they are on code.
Right.
And you know that draws them, that brings them together. You know what I'm saying? So while we're around, it looks like they're one homogeneous mixture. But when we're not around, that's when they get at each other.
Yeah, it's on that tribalism.
Right.
Thing.
Even to the point where it's jokes. Like, you got two white people who work for you, and when I'm around, they're always cracking little ethnic jokes back and forth.
Right. They have their little nationality battles or whatever.
Little rivalries. You know, it's cute.
One Polish, one Russian, and they kind of. Yeah, it's funny how they kind of do it, but it's like, yeah, of course, everybody's split up like that. You got races, and then you got nationalities, and to me, that's just like. You got different players, and then you got teams. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is playing the same sport, but there's teams. You know what I'm saying? And there's just certain teams that just don't fuck with other teams, and it's just worse.
Rivals.
Like that. Yeah, it's rivals, and it's always gonna be like that.
But the bottom line is the members of each team they pledge allegiance to their team.
They pledge allegiance to the team.
And if they do anything for the other team, they will become ostracized and just know it would be really bad.
And that's just the base, because that gets you in sync. Then you can fuck with your playbook or your code, you know what I'm saying? And that's where the code comes in, you know what I'm saying? Where you're looking at each other and you're sending them signals to each other.
Right.
You just play better than the other team.
You communicate, you're on the same page, so to speak.
Yeah. There's just a lot of things that go down in Japan where they don't even realize, like, the playbook is so set, and they got so many things already decided. They kind of already know where they're going with it, that they don't need to worry about things as much as, especially black people. And
that's why in Japanese, again, their code, I call it the Yamato code in the book, Yamato. And Yamato is actually one of the ancient names. And if you really break it down, a lot of people think Japanese people are just Japanese, but Japanese are actually comprised into different groups back in the day. Like the Ryukyuans, the Okinawans are not the same as, you know what I'm saying, regular Japanese, the Yamato. Then you have the Ainu. And back in the day, there were groups, Runoko Rashidi talks about it in his book, the Azumabito.
Oh yeah.
And to me, those were black folks. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, I don't even want to argue about that. All I'm just trying to establish the fact that there were different Burakumin are separate. You know, they have their own culture, they have their own mores, the Imishi. You know what I'm saying? And if you go into modern times, like the Brazilian Japanese, when I lived in Hamamatsu, there's whole like towns or areas where it's just all Brazilian Japanese. You know what I'm saying? If you live in that area, you're going to get stigmatized with that. Because me, I guess the way I look, if I was in that area, bungie, they would just be coming at me.
Definitely Brazilian.
Yeah, they coming at me with that. You know what I'm saying? I told you, I had a guy give me, he thought I was unemployed. Yeah, this is a very good example. I'm sitting outside. I was going to some kind of lesson. I was either teaching or I was studying. I can't remember. But the building happened to be in a Brazilian part of town in Hamamatsu. And just real quick, Hamamatsu, it's a mid-sized city, or smaller city actually. It's spread out though. But it's the town, it has a lot of factories in it. And per capita, it has the largest percentage of foreigners. But not necessarily, well, definitely not English-speaking foreigners. A lot of Brazilians, Peruvians, Chinese.
Still that many?
Well, I don't know about now. This is when I was when I was living there. This was almost 20 years ago now. But I have no reason to think it changed. You know what I mean? Because all the factories. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The industry's there.
Yeah, Yamaha, the piano company's there.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the motorcycle company, but yeah. But anyway, I'm sitting outside. I arrived to the place like 20 minutes early, so I'm sitting outside. It's a Brazilian section of the town, and a guy rides by on a bike. Now, phenotypically, he looks regular Japanese, but he hits me with the bungie, and they say bungie to each other like almost in secret, like we're like, go brother, you know, like I know your challenge, what's going on with you. And I used to get it all the time, and so I say it back to him. He rides by, and like I said, I'm out there for like 20 minutes. So when he comes back, and now it makes more sense because he rides back like 15 minutes later, and I'm still sitting there. So I look like a nigga with nothing to do.
Okay, so he's like,
yeah,
you homeless or not
homeless, but I'm kind of down and out. I'm definitely not on the high side of life. So he comes up to me and starts speaking to me in Portuguese. And this is when my Spanish was still pretty good, so the Portuguese and the Spanish there's a lot in common. So I could understand what he was saying so long as the conversation stayed on a very shallow level. But I was answering him in Japanese. You never heard, I never told you this before? Okay.
I think I'm mixing it with another story where the guy thought you was homeless. Yeah.
No, not that one. So anyway, and then he says to me, he's like, so he switches to Japanese, and he was like, yeah, you haven't been to Brazil in a long time, huh? And I'm like, yeah, and I ended up traveling to Brazil, but this was before that. So it was like I had never been to Brazil. I didn't know anything about Brazilians except for the students, Brazilian, Japanese students who were in some of my classes in Hamamatsu, but very limited. Shout out to Brazil, went to Bahia, had a great time, off the chain. You know what I mean? Carnival, she was off the chain. But anyway, so he says, yeah, you've been to Brazil in a long time, and I just played along with it because I knew, I'm like, I'm gonna stand up in 2-3 minutes and walk in this, walk away. So I'm just like, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So before we leave, when I'm getting ready to leave, he reaches in his pocket and tries to hand me a gohyaku or a 500 yen coin. And that's roughly $5. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Enough, and if you know, like McDonald's or the convenience stores, they have a lot of like gohyaku or 500 yen sets, right? So in other words, it'll buy you a meal. It'll buy you, if you're hungry, it pretty much you can get that settled with 500 yen. Would you agree?
Yes, definitely.
Right, and there's a lot of sets, a lot of sets that are arranged like in that right around there.
$5. Yeah.
Right. So he was handing me that, and I could feel the warmth. I could feel the compassion he had, because what he was saying was, I assume. No, I don't assume. he ended up telling me in the conversation that how he was unemployed, and I'm like, why is he divulging all this to me?
I've been unemployed before, like that kind of stuff.
No, I think he was going. That's where he was going to do something, trying to get a job.
Trying to get you on it.
No. He was going to get a job, but he was having difficulty. He didn't have a job. He was between jobs, but he looked phenotypically Japanese.
Okay.
So I think he was saying, if I'm having this much difficulty,
I know you having it. Yeah.
Right. So he was seeing me as just a Japanese resident, not a foreigner, not nothing. I was kind of like
a little too
him.
dark for the.
Right. And the fact that I've been sitting out here for 20 minutes, you know, you're just trying to stay out the house because your wife, you need to be out there doing something. You can't be home right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was showing me.
At you.
He was showing compassion for me. And I caught all of that, maybe consciously or subconsciously, but I knew he was looking out for me. He was on code, is what I'm trying to say here.
Okay.
You know, he would like, that was the code. He was like, yo, man, I'm looking out for you.
Okay.
You
so
know,
sympathy is being on code.
Well, empathy. I think that's what
Empathy is being on
yeah, because he sees me as him.
So when white people are on code, are they empathizing with each other?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're empathizing because they're like, we got to be against this dude right here because his rise equals our demise.
I guess with black people too, empathizing. Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And just to finish that story real quick though. I mean, just to, I ended up taking the 500 yen. I mean, I tried not to take it, but to make sure I say this, he was like, no. And we were like doing this thing.
Yeah.
And it was going to be an insult to him if I didn't take it.
And you was hungry.
No, I wasn't hungry. I had just eaten. I was gainfully employed. Yeah, at this, you know.
Okay.
But I ended up taking. Yo, man, I took the 500 yen. I didn't even want to put it in my pocket. I was like, I was like, this ain't for me. I went to the. I was studying Japanese, matter of fact, because I went to the lesson. I put it on my desk, and everybody was like, why is he putting that on the desk? I just didn't draw any attention to it and just left it up there. And after, when I was going home, I still had it in my hand. I'm riding on the bike with it in my hand, and it was funny. There's like this one. It was one homeless lady. Homeless. You don't see that many homeless people in Japan,
especially women.
Yeah, and she was a homeless lady, and she was really the only one of the only homeless Japanese people I've ever met who had no problem walking up to, like, even foreigners. You know what I'm saying? A lot of homeless, they won't even take stuff from foreigners. But she wasn't like that. And so she came up and I was ready for her. Blop.
Yeah.
Gave it to her. I was like, yep, because that was the spirit that he put on it.
Right.
And I was like, I put this in my pocket, I don't even want to mix it up with a different 500 yen that I might have. You know what I mean? That's just how I felt about it, though.
Yeah.
Because I respected what he was doing. He was looking out for me because he saw me as his brethren. To me, that's the epitome of being on code.
In a good way.
Yeah. Well, I think being on code, the tenets of it are definitely positive. Just like anything else, human beings always have this way of flipping the best things and making them
bad.
Yeah, making them negative.
Yeah. Because I was thinking of the negative because I was thinking of like how they code people now and they put them on this artificial code and they use this. That it's coding. Like people are literally programmed. I'm programmed. Everybody's programmed. And most of my problem is deprogramming and getting off the code.
So that's like more mind control?
Yeah, it's definitely mind control. Because your brain does code up, you know. A lot of things you think you wouldn't do until you see everybody else doing it and then you're doing it, you know. I wasn't against the masks, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't really against the Japanese wear masks all the time.
Right.
But not every damn day.
Right.
And I was I ain't doing this all day, every day, and now I'm doing it all day, every day. It's like, you're gonna do it all day, every day. You know that, right? Like, and I'm like, it's the code. I'm like, goddamn code.
It becomes the code. Yeah, okay,
I
good point.
Get off of that code, but the best way to get off of code is to have money, because that's the main code.
But even in the Japanese sense, what you're just to talk about the masks, and like you said, first of all, like wearing masks in Japan, it's nothing strange. Yeah. Even 10 years ago, people were doing that. But with Japan, it's not necessarily that. Well, wearing masks has become part of the code, But it really is, it's just whatever Japanese say we're doing is the code. You know what I'm saying? So they're constantly inventing ways so that you can illustrate you either are on code or you're not. And if you're not, you're gonna be dealt with.
That's the only thing that matters more than the reasoning. That being off code is the worst thing you can do.
In Japan,
Yeah.
you cannot exist in Japan and consistently be off code.
Right.
Is what I'm trying to say. And it's and the majority, what the majority of the society believes is the code. That's why when you look back into history, like the raping of Nanking, I think that was the name of the book. You know, that this is like some of the atrocities that Japanese soldiers they raping Chinese and Korean women. This happened to be in China at this time. And if you read into the excerpts of that, I think I was telling you about it before. These women are you know, the women who were subjected to this I don't even can't even call it prostitution, just slavery, just kind of sex slavery. They said like when the soldiers got off or where they had time, they would literally be lined up. And this goes into the Japanese. In my book, this one writer says it. Japanese love of line forming. He calls it something like Neil something as an author. It's in Modern Japan Decoded. Anyway. And she said she would look at it and they would literally be lined up like think about it, like lining up at a ride in an amusement park. And so and the men would come in and actually have sex, and they would just, the whole goal is just for them to reach a climax. And because they were conscious of the next soldier, because we only have a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So everybody has to get in. It's like using the toilet. Get in. And I remember, and this corresponds when I was in jump school in the Army. Ain't no rape story. I remember the way that they designed jump school, airborne school in the Army was usually in all other training segments I've been in, there's a heavy emphasis on cleaning, on keeping everything. You have inspections on that too, on your equipment. Not in jump school. It was all what's the word I wanted? Nah, I can't come with the word, but it's all the training is the emphasis.
Okay.
Because it's a lot you got to know to jump out of this airplane.
Okay.
You know, so they don't put anything, nothing. There's nothing extra. Like when you're on lunch, they leave them alone.
Yeah.
Because they got to try to defuse, you know what I mean, during this little bit of time, because we got to pack all of this training in, and he going to have to jump out of an airplane. So, why'd I say that? Oh, I remember the first day, one of the biggest impressions I had was that when we first got there, the first thing we noticed is the barracks looked dirty, you know, because you're coming from like basic training or AIT where everything like this is immaculate, and you know it's looking kind of janky in here, like what's going on? And you know what I mean, like, you know, and we didn't have to clean the barracks, like, you know, we didn't have to clean. The bathrooms were terrible, in the I mean, there was some, I don't know who was cleaning them. I don't know, like there was some cleaning going on, but I know I didn't clean them. I didn't have to do it because you just have to concentrate on. Oh, I know whoever the recycled soldiers were, the people who didn't cut the mustard, they had to clean.
Okay.
But it was a lot less vigilant because a lot of them had broken legs and so they got treated. Oh man, they got treated badly. Anyway. I remember they had a soldier in the cycle who was the graduating cycle give us our orientation. It's only like 3 weeks of training, and he said this is fast moving, and he was telling us this is high speed. That's where I first heard the term high speed. They like that in the Army. And he was like, in the morning he was like, in the morning when you get up and you got to take a shit. He said, you get in the stall and you blow it out.
Yeah.
So that the next man could get in there.
Dang.
And I remember I was like,
ugh.
I mean, you get in there and you can smell everything. Like you really get to know each other.
Oh shit.
But I remember he wasn't exaggerating. Nobody gave him a script. This is what he was saying from his experience. And I remember you getting in the morning, everything moved just that quickly. You got up. You got to get in there and brush your teeth. You had to wait in line. You had to do all this stuff. Boom, boom, boom. And you had to get in that stall. And when you're a soldier, you're 19, 17, 18. Your system just works like that. You do everything right on clockwork. You know what I'm saying? If you're healthy. And if you do it that way, everything works out. If you deviate from what he said, you weren't gonna make it. Because the whole thing was, they're training you to be a soldier. You have to be a part of this program. Because once the program gets put into effect, we don't have time to think about this and that. We have to be able to predict what you're gonna do, and this is life or death.
So many human elements
removed.
At the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
The early bird catches the worm like a mug.
Right.
Like it's really wow.
And in Japan, their code is not
not militaristic.
No, it is militaristic.
I was about to say.
It is, and in the book, I tell you that, I say it in the book. I consistently keep on making comparisons between Japanese society and the military in military society. 'Cause, you know what I mean? There's really very little difference.
You go into them companies in the morning, like the ones who deal with customers, and they be up, and he's just like 1, 2, 3, and they're like arigatou gozaimashita, and then everybody's like arigatou gozaimashita, arigatou gozaimashita, and he's just like yoroshiku onegaishimasu, yoroshiku onegaishimasu, yoroshiku, and they practice their bow, they practice how they say it, and they get all that tiredness out of them by just doing it, because they're like, now I'm about to really do it.
And then a lot of times they have what? They got a PT session where they do exercise.
Yeah, they gotta do the exercise.
And it's to music, and they have to do. The point is, it's not like, okay, you know what? I'm gay. We got to exercise. I'm gonna do it over here. No. Because the whole point is we do it in unison.
Right.
And when you start studying, you know, like I can't remember where I heard this one, but even just the fact that being in the same room, breathing and exchanging the same oxygen. When you know, like women who are together, they start getting on the same menstrual
cycles, the periods.
You just start to coincide. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is with Japan. Like, that's why they have so many meetings. That's why they make you stay long. No, because we have to be together in order for us to be on the same page. Because if you disagree, then you're gonna have to say something. And can you get everybody on code? If you can't, then shut the fuck up. There's no in between. And you have to be able to sway over 50%. If you don't, if you try to and you fail, there is a tremendous penalty for that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this idea of being on code, whether you agree with it or whether you don't agree with it, what I'm saying is that it is in effect for everyone except for black people on a large scale.
Yeah.
You know, but we want to concentrate on black people in Japan, because that's our lane.
Damn. Okay.
You know, so I think we pretty much define what the idea or the ideology of being on
code is. Yeah. Okay, so then what is the code? There is no code established for black people in Japan?
Okay, well is there?
No.
Okay.
No code.
We definitely agree on that.
Codeless.
It's codeless.
Yeah, it's chaos, and it's actually the only code that there is if you even try to be on code, you get attacked for it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's because the Gaijin code is just so strong, where they keep you wanting to be the guest in this country.
Okay.
We're all it's almost like a religious person's dream. I'm not jumping on Christianity or Catholicism, but from what I can see, the only way we're all brothers on this world is if we share the same religion. A white man is my brother because Jesus says so, and if he's Christian, I'm Christian. If he's Muslim, I'm Muslim. It doesn't matter what the color is.
Or nationality base.
Yeah, not always, because American, that don't mean shit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, you're right in reality. But when white people come here, right, they start, oh, you American. And now they want to start talking to you and acting like it's all good when we're in America. Like, now you want to talk to me because you feel alienated.
But that's really because he's off code. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying, like, no, everybody comes over here for that, but the Christian idea of a utopia is we don't all even have to get along. We just all have to think that Jesus is God.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And we're on code because we're not none of them other religions or not non-religious, even though they don't like each other. You know what I'm saying? Because we're all Christian in it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like Gaijin to me.
Right.
It's like the Gaijin thing. We're not Japanese people. I'm like, okay, that's the only thing that we share in common is that we're not Japanese. You know what I'm saying? So on that level, that's the only code that exists, and it's a really weak code and it's whack.
Right.